freeze and no see.
Sorry, Imelda.
Okay.
Ano pala ito? I saw the documentary. Pero sabi niya, kasi yun, she like, talagang in-order niya. Oh, so you know her on the phone. Sabi ko, is she going?
Sabay tayo. Nakita ko. Tagal-tagal pa siya, interaction. Tsaka isa siya sa dapat kasama sa angkatuan mga sakit. Pero sumakit kawan siya. Anyway, ang ating program, meron tayong sneak preview on deadline na alam natin tungkol sa mga killing of programs. Tapos nun, ika-cut off natin siya sa certain point ng pelikula para pumasok ang presentation. Pero bago yun, siyempre, bigyan natin ng chance si Ricky na i-welcome tayo lahat. Okay? Yun ang ating important. Tapos willing discussion. Deadline muna.
Anyway, I guess on behalf of Philippine Press Club Ontario, which is only like the secondary sponsor of this event, sa Migrante, we welcome everybody to this event, which I personally find is going to be very informative, especially because I myself come from Mindanao. So I'm sure there's a lot of things that I myself may not be aware about, and I'm sure one of you will be a very important resource about what's going on in Mindanao and in the country in general. So with that, welcome.
Okay. May mga pagkain. Magawa na kayo pagkain habang
Balik mo sa asang tabang. Ano ba yung source?
yan, DVD.
Pwede na pong kumain dito.
Kita nyo na.
Share nyo na.
Siyempre kalutagong. Itanda ng pagkawawan na kakayuan kamo. Kinigidataga, umofo ikayo, tagtagon na tos wages. Nga may simu nga siya may natagon nga na. Ang nga ng magpa. Amubang sinira, yan era na vloggers. Siyempre ka pa. Yan era politiko ang nagdayo. Sinipaga. Awan to talapan, norira. Paway na Cagayan Valley, ang mumam kung sinira. Siyempre, yan ang tinitagdaman niya magbida. Saka ni magbida, mawato tanapan. Ito ang mato sa iya. Pagkakalit na. Kami irangalagan. Ligalo nila. Ay malagkambang.
One-on-one, and the topic for tonight's episode is a mouthful. They shoot journalists, don't they? Balikan natin si Mr. Rivera.
Please, Chacha Ross na lang. Feeling ko tumatanda ako pag may
Wala ka pang 40, Ross. You've already become one controversial journalist.
I think the more appropriate adjective is hated, no, Henry?
Ano naman? You're being too harsh on yourself, Ross.
Well, as I was saying, sa mga artikulo ni Henry, he said na yung pinakamalaking politician/warlord, short of saying his name, ay taga-probinsya ng Abdul Rab.
Right. But I'm not singling out the province of Abdul Rab. Mga warlord politicians ay kalat sa Luzon, sa Visayas, at sa
Kawawa. At sa'yo, Henry, pupugsarado na sila sa mga tribes.
Tagal mo! Ingay ka no?
This is most noteworthy. Sabi niya, na yung so-called politician/warlord na to can make or unmake presidents. True?
Totoo ba yun?
Exactly. You know, this is really the most fantastic story I've heard.
Wait, kung kaya niyang ipanalo o ipatalo ang mga kandidatong presidente, kaya rin niya magpapatay ng mga maliliit na mga reporters at commentators.
I mean, you can think about that, di ba?
So, let's say, multiply that warlord in Abdullah by 100, 200 plus. That's about the number of private arms in the country. Anong meron tayo?
You have a very fertile imagination, Henry.
No. I have documents and evidences to back up my claims.
Inipitalo na yun. Din kung mga ebidensya na hindi dokumento.
Cheche, kaya nga nagbuo ng task force ang presidente natin para sa mga ganyan.
Great, great. Sa bawat anomalya, isang task force.
Okay, suko na ako. I give up. Pero sabihin mo sa akin, what do you suggest that poor president do?
Well, my wish list? Itigil ang pamamaslang sa mga taga-media at kritiko ng gobyerno. Ngayon, huli niya may mga kasalanan, iharap sa oskado, parusahan.
That's a suggestion.
Well, it's not it's a slogan, not a suggestion. But how do you operationalize slogans?
They are not slogans, but they are ends of justice. Goals government should aim for. The sooner the better.
Let me interrupt. You know, some say that the task force is a starting point for solving the killings. Why some people don't appreciate that task force is probably another topic for another one-on-one.
But you can have us there. I guess.
Yes.
Ma'am, siya ba talaga yung boyfriend ninyo?
Sino?
Ay, yung naka-jacket.
Chismosa ka, ha?
Ang gwapo, ma'am.
At matapang pa.
One question too many, all begging to be answered. Unfortunately, we're running out of time. Nais kong pasalamatan ang dalawa nating panauhin. Ross Rivera of Metro Times Manila, thank you. And Henry Rosales of the Philippine Sentinel, and also President of the Philippine League of Journalists. Maraming salamat sa inyong dalawa. At huwag po natin nalilimutan, pag nagkakagulo na usapan, pwede po nating idaan sa one-on-one. Ako po si Cheche Lazaro. Maraming salamat at magandang gabi po sa inyong lahat.
Hindi, may kailangan ka. Pagtanong na ako.
Thanks. Mga pala, may phone ko, may boss media meetings. Kailangan ka namin.
Ikaw, swiper? Magalit kayo sa akin.
Not in a personal way. Sige na, support lang.
Ayan. Sige.
Oh, that's great. Nadala ka namin invitation, okay? Sige. Mura na.
Ingat, Henry, ah.
Sir, sa inyo po ba ito?
Hindi sa akin po ba? Henry!
Oo.
Hindi sa akin.
Pabalik ka po. Pabalik po.
Henry!
Hi.
Nangyayala ka na ngayon. Wawa, bilib din ako sa'yo. Talagang pinatulan mo yung government apologist na yun.
Nandito ako pa nga sa forum natin eh.
Really?
Yes.
Very well then. It means di ako pupunta sa forum na yun. Alam mo naman, minsan na kami nagkabanggaan ni Rose.
Oo. Mag-personal eh.
Pag-minata, yung 15 minutes po.
Okay. Thanks, love. Hintay mo ba ako? Isang oras na yung newscast ko.
Hindi na siguro.
Pagtanggap sa akin, alam ko, short notice lang ito. Para sa akin, short notice nga rin. Pero pinagagalap ko rin na nakarating ako dito, nakausap kayo, makilala kayo. At kahit pa paano, may bahagi rin ng kaunti yung magaganap sa ating bansa. Dahil malaki-lait talaga pa rin yung problemang kinakaharap at marami pang dapat gawin kung alipasan na ito. So, bago po ako pagkita ko yung parang PowerPoint ako yun. Gusto ko na ipagkita it's a short video that we did sa interaction. It's interviews with the children of the massacre victims, yung mga kasama natin sa media na nasawing ang Patuan Massacre. And it also shows the artwork they made during one of their psychosocial therapy sessions.
Kasama CRC?
CRC, kasama siya.
Drawing naman to para sa ako ang mami. Wala mo mamatagaan mo justice akong mami. Wala namin na nag-aaway kaya wala ka na ng mami.
Gusto ko lang pasagot sa akong buong kay itong justice ba o kung naging justice sa akong pagkasukot ko ba. Kalain po yun kay after 2 years wala pa nakuha ang justice na binahangyo ko ba. Sobrang mga suri sa pananaw sa loob sa mga tanong libuan. Then mga pagkagsuri kay nihawak ko mo dyan man. Wala ka pa nang iba kaya kung napangakuglakaw saya.
Dun sa drawing, pinakita ko lang doon na sa family namin, nangungulila kami sa aming ama kasi nga, bigla yung nangyari. Mas maganda pa na namatay yung papa namin dahil sa sakit, hindi yung dahil sa massacre na ginawa nila. Tsaka, gusto namin humingi ng hustisya doon. At sana yung present government will give us justice as soon as possible na kung ako lang ayoko talagang maalala or ma-remember na nangyari yun. Kung pwede lang ayoko manood ng TV about sa masakit. Pakiramdam ko parang pagkamatay ng papa ko parang nasira yung family namin kasi nawala yung yung papa na kung isipin magproprotect ka sa family namin parang siyang nawasak kasi parang nag-separate eh. Parang wala nang magagay. Sabi na, bawal yan, bawal ganito. Sasabihin ko sa kanya na miss na siya. Gusto ko siya makasama ulit. Ang mata sa babae na kong gidrawing, nagitabunan ang panyo kay manli nakita ang hustisya. Tapos ng lapis na imbis balita ang isulat, dugo na lang ka, namatay naman sila. Wala naman akong papa. Sakit kayo. Pag mag-eskwela may kinahatulad ni niya. Tapos karon kung buntag, wala na akong papa. Wala na yung makatid sa mukha. Miss na ako siya nga. Miss na ako siya. Kagugay naman siya. Wala naman nakita. Wala naman siya dere.
In-update ko na lang because the figures, all you have to do actually are update the figures. Walang pinagbago sa situation, you just add up the figures. Which is actually nakakainis nga dahil minsan nagbibiruan kami doon para na tayong pumirarya, nagbibilang na lang ng bangkay. Because nothing ever happens. Well, yeah, we all know that ito na yung officially acknowledged worst single attack on the press in history. Of the 58 persons killed during the November 23, 2009 massacre, 32 were media workers. The reason why 57 counts of murder have been filed is because si Debut Momay, his remains have not been found yet. Only his dentures were recovered from the site, and I think his jacket. But we're still trying to get him into the case because Philippine law says corpus delicti. So you need the corpse, you need the body before a crime can be alleged. But we hope the judge will accept the dentures and the jacket. Late last year, we found this sa evidence that was with the police, we found a blood-stained list of those who were actually with the convoy, with their signatures. And Momai's name was there, and he had signed. So we hope the court will accept that to make it a full 58 counts. So, in fairness to his family, his daughter especially, she's been one of the most active relatives, because the relatives of the media victims have formed themselves into justice now. She's one of the most active of them. And yet, her father's case isn't even among the, hindi pa nasali dun sa trial. So, we hope na at least kahit pag ano. In fact, she's applied for a nursing job in the States, natanggap na. She doesn't want to leave until that happens. So, that's how it actually affects the family. Pati yung economic ng ninenen, yung economic welfare ng family in the future niya, she has to put it on hold because she wants to see at least the process, not justice yet, the slow process of justice start for her father. So, as you all know, yeah, we've been subject to the ultimate censorship, which is murder. And since 1986, 152 journalists and media workers have been murdered in the Philippines. The worst time was during Gloria Arroyo's 9-year presidency. 104 were killed. That's more than the total of Marcos and the 3 presidents before her. So, ang hirap isipin in 9 years, she totally overtook everyone before her. And actually, in 2010, we were hoping, of all those cases, 152, only 3 cases have actually been solved. And we've gotten only 10 convictions. All gunmen, not a single mastermind has been arrested, prosecuted, or convicted. So we were hoping, like everyone else, na kahit paano under the new president, under our current president, things would be better. But yeah, September, just months after he came into office, the first journalist was killed. And now we're up to 12. And recently, we've had a spike of attacks, attempted assassinations. We've had at least, I think, 5. And we've seen a spike in threats. Just lately, one survivor of an assassination attempt received threats again. So we're kind of worried. Because our research shows that practically all the murders were preceded by threats. That's why we never take threats lightly anymore. Our rule is, if it's a threat, publish mo agad, make noise. Because chances are they might, indeed they will, they might back down. So, we've established a threat hotline for that, and it's working pretty well. But the threats still keep coming. In fact, early this month or late last month, the whole staff of Mindanao outfit was threatened. We're kind of worried. And, we've had attempted arsons of radio stations in northern Luzon. Libel suits are on the rise again, in spite of our campaign to decriminalize libel. In fact, funny thing is, during the last Congress, the 14th Congress, they submitted an omnibus libel decriminalization bill daw, because there were several bills filed. And the omnibus bill that they submitted was actually worse than the original libel law. They actually raised the penalties and everything. And in fact, they also tried to pass the right of reply bill, which in effect says for every critical item that comes out, they get the right to reply, same space, same airtime, same length. It should be turning over everything to them. So we kind of blocked that, but during the discussions, it was very interesting. I got into an argument with former Congressman Benny Abante of Manila, and he was like arguing, kasi kayong mga media dahil corrupt sa inyo kaya pinapatay kayo. So I stood up and said, Congressman, mawalang dalang po. Kung korupsyon ay dahilan para patayin ka, sana wala na pong natitira sa Kongreso. God and silence in the Pero, yun lang. I mean, it's a sad fact that even in the industry, that kind of talk crops up. But we'll discuss that later. But ito yung, we've been analyzing why we keep getting killed. And part of it is the institutional threats that we face. We call what we call governance by expediency, in which the national government, basically, set up natin, ganun pa rin. It doesn't change. Central government is in Manila. It needs to control the provinces. How does it do that? Normally by warlords, through warlords, proxies. Who they allow to build private armies like Dampatuans have 3,000, an estimated 3,000 army followers, which was more than the police and army combined in that province. And they allow them to, well, amass wealth. If you go to Sharipagwat, the capital of Maguindanao, the only large structures are the mansions of the Ampatuans and the provincial capital. So, ganun ka, that's how glaring it is. But of course, the Ampatuans were the extreme. But everywhere in the country, I think we all come from different regions, different provinces. I think we're all familiar with the political setup in the provinces. Hari si Governor, Hari si Mayor. And yeah, I'm sorry. This we got this in because if you remember 2006, Gloria Arroyo declared the state of national emergency. It was supposed to be against threats to her government, which were true because that was the time when she was being hit by one scandal after another, and there really was a movement towards another uprising. Pero about half a year after that, Joe de Venecia, dahil of the ZTE scandal, nung kumalas si Joe de Venecia sa kanya, he admitted that a priority of the National Emergency Declaration was to clamp down on media. In fact, they sent troops to GMA and ABS-CBN at the time and they raided the Tribune. It was lucky that even the large outfits came together, all media organizations came together and said, di pwede yan. So they backed down. And this, I guess, all those who practice in the country before, familiar with this. In the Philippines, we don't only cover events, we live through the events we cover, and often we're victims of the events we cover. Conflict man yan, or natural disasters. In fact, during Sendong, grabe yung Sendong. I remember calling up our correspondent in Cagayan de Oro when the flood struck. They asked him, Edwin, how are you? Nangangamusta lang ako, hindi naman ako naniningil ng balita. Yes, I'm okay, I got my camera and my backpack with my laptop is dry. No, how are you? Okay lang, I'm working. What about everything else? Wala na. Sabi, I told him, get out of there and look after yourself. But no, I have to work. It's the only way I'll keep sane. Because he lost everything here. And we lost 2 colleagues to Sendong. And a lot of others were on the job. They lost their houses. Si Kong Corrales had just taken his family to safety, and then when he looked back, everything was gone. But they kept on working. Yun talaga. Well, and there are threats from within the industry itself. The ownership patterns, of course, we all know, major organizations are owned by powerful business and political interests, including the outfit I work for. Manny Pangilinan, of course, owns Smart PLDT, owns Meralco, owns Maynilad. He's got shares in the Inquirer, he's got shares in the Philippine Star, he's got shares in Business World, he's got shares in major hospitals. He's the new Pacman ako. Pero that's off the record. I'm gonna lose my job if I get back. Pero yan, ABS-CBN, of course, the Lopez family. Inquirer, Prieto, who are now also, of course, through Sandy Prieto is married to Romaldes, the mining Romaldes family. Philippine Star, of course, is owned by the Speaker of the House, Sammy Del Monte and his family. RMN is, of course, Radio Mindanao Network, the Canoys. GMA, 3 families, Gozon, Jimenez, Duabit, Manila Bulletin, of course, is Don Emilio Yap, who's been like there forever. TV5, and if Pangilinan gets lucky, then TV5 will double up GMA this year. So you really don't know. It's going to change, but yeah, it's basically, and we all know that mainly business and political interests are there to preserve the status quo. So, in spite of the killings, they may make noise, but not much is being done actually. They don't do really much. And of course, substandard wages and job security is a problem, especially now there is a trend towards contractualization of labor in India. In fact, they're subcontracting. They've started subcontracting jobs. The large networks. Last year, ABS-CBN, we had a case. It's still ongoing. They set up this so-called internal job market. This is basically a recruitment agency, which they own, to hire contractual labor for them. So what the IGM workers did with our help, they organized themselves, unionized, were actually recognized by DOLE, filed for a CEC certification election, DOLE approved, but ABS-CBN fired them, 130 something. Or yung iba were offered regularization, you know. And what they do sometimes is, like we've had a lot of complaints about people working like, not regular, they're like contract workers, especially news crews, cameramen, soundmen. They've been working like 20 years old. Magre-retire na nga yung iba, retireable na. Then they're offered regular employment on the condition that they revert to day one. So that wipes out 2 decades of your life. All benefits, wala. You revert to day one. You start all over again. So that's what's happening now. And which is basically unfair labor practice. And of course, conflict of interest if you use your outlet to protect your other interests or attack. And it's a safety. There are no workplace mechanisms to ensure safety. Up to now, walang hazard pay, except for a few. I think some of the networks now start giving hazard pay, but that's only a few. That's a handful. Everyone goes out, wala pa rin safety gear. A lot of my friends, they buy their own helmets, they buy their own vests, and that's expensive. I don't own a vest, I don't own a helmet. So, lately there's also, like, and yun nga, yung sinasabi kanina ni Terry, sumakit po siya. Actually, I'll tell you naman the story about that. Sa massacre. Kaya the army, when it happened, the army was saying, imposibleng hindi nila alam. Because I was with a photographer, we were covering Arido. There's blood feuds and clan wars. We were covering one of them in Maguindanao 2 weeks before the massacre happened. So, the massacre was on a Monday. It happened on a Monday. Friday, we were at Awang Airport in Cotabato. We were waiting for a flight to Manila. Someone comes up to us, someone, a very reliable source, who says, there's this Mamudadato who wants to run against the Ampatuans. Siyempre, ding. Ampatuan yun. Could they run against an Ampatuan? Then he said, the Ampatuans are spreading the word, tatag ka rin daw nila. It's a big story. So, me and my partner, reschedule rebook ulit tayo. But we've spent 2 weeks in the mountains, so we were really tired. I was coming down with the fever. In fact, it turned into the flu later. Siya, masama na rin pakiramdam niya. Kaya namin, di ba, libok, tiling pa lang naman. Balikan na lang natin pag nagkaputukan na. Because that was what we were expecting. Like 2 warlords getting into a scrap, babarilan, mera. Yeah, umuwi kami. Then the first thing Monday, around 9 a.m., we got text ng convoy missing. I thought at first, nahintulan yan. Kasi like, about a couple of months before that, we were covering the evacuations in Maguindanao. there was like 50 journalists, hininto naman kami ng army. We were actually stopped at a checkpoint for more than an hour. Nung tinatanong namin yung army, bakit? Order ni General, bakit? Media daw, hintuin. Bakit nga ba? Wala, di namin alam, basta order. And later, they concocted this tall tale of, they found IDEs, IEDs, may bomba daw doon sa, kung may bomba, ba't yung iba pinapadaan yun? Mas malaga pa kami kesa kanila. Eventually, they let us leave, but that should have, on hindsight, that should have forewarned us. No? We're so used to the press card being sort of, parang passes mo kung saan-saan. And then, during that period, it wasn't so anymore. Things had changed. It wasn't that respected anymore. So yeah, at first we thought it was just yun, hinaran lang. 2 hours later, yun na yung mga balitang all dead. So, I was really, well, you have to be affected by it. Kahit hindi ako, almost everyone. And imagine the Jensen Takurong area, general area, Sultan Kudarat and Jensen. The 32 journalists.
Also Coronadal.
Coronadal. It actually, the loss of lives were actually comprised about half of the total media community. So, napakalaking, was a major loss talaga. So, not just to their families, to the colleagues, to the community. And I don't think they've even started to recover yet. In fact, right now, Jensen is officially the city where the most journalists have been killed. So, I know it's not a rosy picture, but it's the reality we face back home. And, well, any questions? I'd be glad to answer. Try to answer them.
Marami ang sa definition of impunity. Can you explain it further?
Yeah, well, impunity, yun nga sinasabi, there actually is no government policy to kill us, to kill journalists. There is no official government policy, we do not believe that. However, there has also been no government action. There's been practically no government action on the killings. So, yun nga, what we're saying is, inaction is actually tacit approval. Because you let everyone go free. It will embolden those who want to kill you. Sabi nila, makakalusot naman eh. Ano na nabito. So for every case that remains unsolved, it emboldens someone else. I can get away with it. And it's not just about media. It's related to the whole picture, to the whole situation of extrajudicial killings. In the case of activists and other dissenters, of course, it's official policy. It's basically official policy, even if government will not admit it. It's official policy. So if government does not act on the killings of activists, eventually people will start thinking, well, it might be okay to kill a journalist. Wala namang ano. And then, no one acts on the killing of a journalist, then more journalists are killed. And then they're killing lawyers, they start killing judges, they start killing priests. So it's all interrelated. And that creates impunity. Lately, consider last year, the murder of Jerry Ortega. It was a major case, Palawan. He was an environmentalist and a broadcaster. Well, he was also a politician. Pero he was basically a broadcaster. So he was murdered. The gunman was immediately arrested. He pointed to the members of the hit team, and they all pointed to former Governor Joel Reyes. So Joel Reyes, his brother Mario, who was mayor of Toron, and his, I think, 3 or 4 very close aides. At first, DOJ dropped the charges against them. Tuloy yung sa hit team, tuloy yung charges. Sa alleged mastermind, dropped. So we protested, the family persisted. Laila de Lima, who had initially inhibited herself because she was, in fairness naman, she had been an election lawyer of Joel Reyes. But she ordered a re-investigation. So the second panel said, indict them. So they were indicted, the court issued a warrant. As soon as the court issued the warrant, what happens? Interior Secretary Jesse Robredo says, we'll give him till the end of the week to surrender. Eh, warrant na yun eh. Warrant na yun, huhuliin mo na. Let's give him till the end of the week to surrender. The next day, Malacanang, through Edwin Lacerda, the spokesman, says, I will give him until the end of the week to surrender. Why? In deference to his position as former governor. Did they give the same deference to the former president? So why the double standards? And of course, after the week was over, the Reyes brothers are nowhere to be found. Hanggang ngayon, they're nowhere to be found. So, yun, that's the kind of governance. It's the kind of governance that creates impunity, that lets people actually believe. Like the Ampatuans actually believe they could get away with killing 58 people and not be called into account. So,
I was just wondering, ano kaya sa tingin mo ang mindset ni Pinoy that his own family experienced the abuses during the martial law regime, and now he's had a chance, he's the president. Bakit mababa talaga? I mean, walang record of, I mean, obviously, government is dragging its feet in prosecuting or, taking the first steps to run after all these criminals.
Well, it's my personal opinion. I'll speak personally. Personally, I think Pinoy is nothing but a rich man's son. He's a spoiled brat. Look at his legislative record. He has brought nothing about the people. Where was he when we were fighting the dictatorship? In fairness to Chris Aquino, she was standing on stage at 7 years old. Noy was never to be found anywhere during that period. I think the only time Noy actually became visible was during the coup when he was wounded. And honestly, si Noy is just a product of his mother's son. If Cory hadn't died, I don't think he'd be president right now. And he simply doesn't care, really. He doesn't care. It's all, wala, puro angas lang siya. And one thing is, lately he's been taking to, like, every time something goes wrong, he bashes media. Well, all presidents do that. But I think he's been doing it most regularly. I mean, it's like, magti 3 years pa lang siya. He's bashed media publicly at least 10 times. Which also actually helps encourage those who want to silence the press. Because you send the signal, I don't like media, you can do whatever you want with them. Even if you don't say so openly. And of all the presidents, we've actually, there's a problem. We've asked this from, we've demanded this of Ramos, Estrada, Arroyo, Aquino. Sabi nga namin okay, kahit sabihin na natin siyang democracy ito. But in a democracy, in any government, leadership still counts. Even symbolic leadership counts. So all we're asking is, give the unequivocal order, stop the killing, solve the cases, get whoever is responsible. Not one president has ever been able. Not one, not a single one. Not even,
Maybe this is more or less a follow-up to Ricky's question. First of all, maraming salamat sa paglalahad mo. Marami akong natutuhan. Especially yung systemic analysis ng media ownership, yung structure ng media ownership, at saka yung natawag mong working class. I think we can go much deeper into those themes. I was also thinking, total nasa North America tayo, kung pwede natin i-ugnay yung struggle for press freedom and human rights to the global struggle that is going on also here in North America among press people as well as workers. So I wonder what your comment would be kung ano yung mga global political economic forces that is driving the suppression of press freedom and human rights. As we know, in other regions, Latin America, Africa, because of the economic interests of global corporations at saka yung so-called national security interest ng Estado, anong nakikita mong kaugnayan ng so-called neoliberal agenda at saka itong attack on press freedom? And then secondly, bakit Mindanao? Bakit doon sa Mindanao yung ganung kainting ang suppression?
Okay. So first question, I may be very, very unqualified to answer. I'll just venture a guess. Well, if you look at the trend in media naman, it's actually getting worse everywhere. Repression is on the rise. For various reasons. But I also believe the ownership patterns that have been established lately, like the monopolies, like Murdoch, which actually reflect interests that differ from what media should actually be doing. We've seen the dumbing down of the press. Like entertainment gets more value than hard news. Kahit sa Pilipinas, yung una mong yung headline mo, major political developments, but your first clip will show a traffic accident. Or yun, chismis. Minsan yung newscast mo, didok mo, chismis. So, somehow it shapes the news values of people also. And shaping the news values of people that way, eventually you leave people ignorant. Which really fits into the agenda of a government that seeks to oppress, or seeks to push interests other than the people's interests. Like in the Philippines, ngayon, liberalized na yung mining. And what do people care about mining? Pag tinanong mo ordinaryong tao, what do they care about mining? Wala. And they'll probably say, maganda nga, maraming trabaho. Because it's not getting enough. It's not getting enough coverage in media. Because media interests simply do not, nandun din eh. Okay, ito, off the record din eh. Sa amin lang, sino si Pangilinan, may-ari ng Philips? You think we can bash mining that part? Yeah, we do. Minsan, I slip in some mining issues coverage namin. But can we really go all out on the issue? If our owner is the owner of a major mining. So it all ties up to that. Right now, the debate is, anong dapat gawin sa China? South China Sea issue. What people are missing is, it would be the opening for the return of more U.S. troops on a probably even basis. Because Noynoy has been openly asking them to come back, using China as the pretext. And Noynoy is actually parang military freak. He loves guns, he loves, an aircraft carrier comes to town. Trabaho yun eh. Discussing bullet trajectory, how much impact a bullet will have on the body. Presidente ka eh. Pang-gun club lang yan. Pero ganun siya eh. And now he's openly campaigning, and people are missing that. Media doesn't report it that way. What media only sees is the South China Sea, Spratley's issue, China actually coming in. And we don't see the U.S. actually coming in that way. We're not even discussing the redeployment in Southeast Asia of American troops and how it will impact on the Philippines. So there's clearly a lack of analysis within media itself, or because media refuses, either media is too lazy to do it. I mean, the senior journalists, a lot are really too lazy to do it, or does not jive with their interests as well. So I think all over the world, if it's not to the interest of the power structures, you get short shrift. But basically, they control who owns the truth. Who owns the truth. So the rules of the game is the rules of the game. So all we can do is try to pasundot-sundot yung advocacy mo. Kakalungkot, pero yun ang laro talaga.
So, bakit Mindanao?
Mindanao, Mindanao. Why Mindanao? Actually, parang cycle yan. Parang cycle. It used to be Luzon. It used to be Southern Luzon. I think, but Southern Luzon was during the heyday of the parang malakas yung insurgency doon. Mindanao, I think it has to do with the political developments that it's still warlordism. I'm not dissing Mindanao that it's the land of the warlords, but really, especially central Mindanao, where you got families who you've got clans out there. In Jensen, it's a different thing. I really do not understand that in Jensen. Like, I think it also was, like I said, a lot of it is also tied up to ethics and how media relates to the local communities, how yung power play ng politicians and business, and how media plays with that. So, pag nadamay ka doon, you're likely to get it's nakakalungkot nga. Pero yung nga sinasabi namin, sino ba dapat sisihin? Yung media na pinatay o yung taong nag-set ng condition na nagkakaroon. Hindi naman sinasabing blameless tayo, pero when we operate, we don't operate in a vacuum. Corruption does not crop up in a vacuum. It has to be fertilized, you know, like anything else. Before you said,
okay, I don't know if this is simplifying everything, but I just wanted to be, like, it seems like the media that criticizes the government or politician are the ones that are being murdered, and the ones who probably are murdering those media are the ones who are the politicians and government people who are criticized. Is it that direct? Can they show direct links? The criticism led to...
In most cases, yeah. In most cases, the murders, the journalists who were murdered were criticizing either were actually writing on corruption or sometimes crime, which is actually, in many places, crime and politics are actually no different from each other. Sometimes the former drug lord is now the mayor, so it's all interlinked. And actually, what we were saying, we were telling President Aquino, said, one of his campaign promises was good governance. Good governance. And we were telling him, look, if you wanna implement good governance, if you wanna start, we'll give you a starting point. Solve all the media murders, because it is most likely that probably 9 out of 10 of these murders will lead back to whoever rules that province or region. And if that happens, then you can start cleaning up and give us good governance.
They could be his allies.
Most likely. Of course, a lot of them would be, because like in the Philippines naman glorious allies then are now with company. I personally know a lot of Gloria Lakis are now really like singing in his praise. But then that's always been the case in Philippine politics. Because after we dismantled the two-party system, like political butterflies have been fleeting.
One by one, makikita po, nawawala mga witnesses sa Ampatuan murder.
Yes.
Ano kaya magiging outcome kahit kung nawawala isa-isa, pinapatay?
Yun nga nakakalungkot. We've lost like lately 2 more. 2 more.
2 days ago.
Yeah. Confirmation pa lang yan. Confirmation na lang. They were actually killed like a couple of months ago. They went missing. And one was a potential witness pa lang. Sasalang pa lang sa korte. The other one had already testified. But their testimonies would be more or less the same. The first one was chainsawed. So, signature talaga yan. He had testified that he'd driven 32 gunmen to the site. And the other one, whose family name was Ampatuan, actually a relative of the family, was actually one of the gunmen also. And he was going to testify to that. And the first witness, major witness who was killed, was also one of the gunmen. So, yeah. The problem is, I think the first witness who was murdered was not accepted into the government witness protection program, because the prosecution said he was not reliable. The second, I think, decided to withdraw from the program because he didn't feel safe there. I'm not really sure yet about the Ampatuan, what happened to him, if he ever was in the program. But yeah, it's true, the witness protection program doesn't really actually protect you. And the families are actually still receiving threats, the families of the victims. They're still receiving bribe offers. And the most optimistic prognosis actually of lawyers we've talked to, the first conviction, if we ever get a conviction, if we're optimistic, we'll take at least a decade. There are 200 witnesses on each side. They're going to have to hear all that. 57 counts for now, and each and every accused filing for bail. Of the Ampatuan, major members of the Ampatuan clan who are detained, only 2 have so far been indicted. Zaldi Ampatuan, only the 2 Andals, senior engineer. Si Zaldi is not yet indicted. And last year, actually, he was offering, or Malacanang was saying he was offering to turn state witness in the electoral fraud, which would have gotten him free of the massacre case. We know who was behind the negotiations. Siyempre, Malacanang. And yun, he would have become state witness, been put into the program, been given a new identity, goodbye. Buti na lang, we got wind of it. So we made noise, hindi natuloy. So, there'll be maneuvers. It's not gonna be easy. Yung nasabi namin sa families, we actually had to tell the families, look, if you think you wanna go for a settlement, we won't blame you. We won't blame you. It's hard enough losing a breadwinner. We can only support the education of your children. We can support your day-to-day life. So, isipin mo, every day, naghihirap sila. They have to face the pressures of the trial, they have to face the threats. So, yun nga sabi namin, if you think you want to settle, hindi namin kayo masisisi. Sabi namin, don't settle for peanuts naman. Yung biruan nga last meeting, biruan, ganun kasi there were problems cropping up, sabi ko, pag 50 million tanggapin mo na. 50 million bawat pamilya. Pag 50 million bawat pamilya tanggapin mo na. So, ambag kayo ng 10 million, patira niyo. It was the joke actually, the original joke yun sa Marcos victims. Sige, settlement, kunin na natin, tapos patira na natin. Actually, Marcos yan. Pero, alam mo, you have to face the reality. Grabe talaga ang hirap ng dinaraanan mo. Psychologically, economically. So, it's gonna be a long, hard struggle just for that case. And the individual murders, we haven't even started on them. Ang dahil pang, like Marlene Esperat, if you recall the Marlene Esperat case, they have identified and already charged the masterminds, who are regional officials of the Department of Agriculture. And they're back at work reporting to the regional office. So it's been what? Isipin mo, suspect ka na, charge ka na in court. Still reporting to work, still getting their benefits. They're still regional officials of the Department of Agriculture. So, Ortega case, well, it's like Palparan. Ortega case, parang si Palparan. So, mo hanapin yun.
Laila de Lima, formerly Commissioner of Human Rights, now the Secretary of Justice. What's happening?
I'm not too sure. I think Laila's been caught up in politics. She's been being considered to run for Senate or even being considered for Chief Justice. I mean, Laila is a good person. She was really great as CHR. Ako personally, when she was appointed Justice Secretary, well, I congratulated her, of course, but I said, I think you were better as a commissioner. I think you're heading into stormy waters. And ginawa siyang parang taga-sangga ni Noy. Whenever there's a problem, Noy pushes her there. So her attention's really like kalat. And I don't think she's changed as a person. Politics as a way of really changing the mindset and everything. But I don't think she's a bad person. Just too much on her plate. She can't really focus on this stuff. So we're not really relying on her too much. But we're working with the prosecutors, a lot of the prosecution. A lot of the prosecutors we've been working with have been very decent. So yun na lang
Alright, what is your most unforgettable threat as a journalist na talagang hindi mo makalimutan?
Personally. Actually, ano pag-isipan mo. But it's one of the reasons actually why I'm working in Manila and my family is still back in Bacolod. For the past 6 years, I've been working in Manila, just going home to visit. Because, well, financial reasons are one. But the last threat I actually received wasn't even directed at me. It was a text message I received. Pare, bukas, babalitan mo na yung pamilya mo. And really, talagang nalamig na ako. Sabi ko, it might be safer for me to be away. For them, actually, it might be safer why I wasn't there. Kasi para malayo ako sa kanila. So far, okay naman. Although I'm hoping, I'm still negotiating. I want to be transferred back to the province. Alam, ilalaki na rin mga anak ko. I missed the best days of their life. I want to go back. I think I can handle the risk there. Hindi ko lang alam. So, nagdadalaw ng isip ko. So, yun. And, yun din, the massacre has actually affected me more ways than I realized actually. I had a couple of flashbacks and all that. The last debriefing session, parang stress debriefing na yun. Sabi nga ng taga-CRC, ay ba, kumpleto ka na sa symptoms ng PTSD. Trigger na lang kailangan mo. So sabi ko, hindi, wag mo akong galitin. Pero yun, I mean, kaya nga, pero luckily naman, with the realization na, actually I was lucky because before the massacre, I was one of the original fellows of the DART Center for Media Trauma sa Asia Pacific. And then that's when I started realizing how trauma was actually a risk that every journalist, especially in hazardous conditions, faces. So after the massacre, I was kind of expecting something to happen na rin. And in fact, hindi lang ano. Even, well, there were of course yung tatlong survivors who returned back before they could catch up to the country. I'm sure they've been going through shit. But not even that, even journalists who never actually covered the massacre have been experiencing trauma because of what happened. It was so massive a scale. Napaka-massive ng scale. 32 in 1 year. So, it actually shook, it actually shattered what media thought about itself before. Dati pag may press card ka, pwede siga ka eh. You thought your press card would protect you. Everyone would respect the card. Yung pala, hindi. And so, it really made journalists rethink their roles and roles nila, how to perform the job. It actually turned it on the brighter side, if you can call it. There was a lot of self-reflection going on, and a lot of realization. So, yeah.
Two things. Gusto ko because of the recent dangers of Pilipinas, journalists, talagang...
Yeah, they should be here.
Kaya. Ayan mo. Usap lang. Picture-ang kayo. Ready, 1, 2, Ingat, cables. Baka malaglag yung projector.
Tanggalin na lang natin.
1, oh, wait. Issues in it. Wait, bakit walang flash?
Okay. Huwag niyo padala ko sa hits ko.
Asan yung picture? Ayan, okay. 1, 2, 3. Tay, dito muna. Doon ka mas maganda. Napuputol ka dyan.
Gitna, okay.
Yeah. 1, 2, 3. One more. 1, 2, 3. Thank you.
Sa kabila.
Doon ka sa harap.
Yan. Okay.
Passing through.
Ayan, okay. 1,
bibiguti ako dyan sa ulo eh.
2, 3. Isa pa. 1, 2, 3.
Okay.
Yes.
So, ngayon, lahat.
O, lahat daw.
Lahat.
Ito, meron naman tripod eh.